Welcome back, travelers, to Legendary Lore. This time focusing primarily on Belbe, possibly more depending on how long it takes me to get through her incredible story. With me is my crabby co-host, Joe. Say hi, Joe.
These claws are for more than just attracting mates.
And they don't do a very good job of it. Now, as you can see, Belbe is black-green. Joe, can you guess, based off of her eye goo, what she is?
I was about to point out the eye goo. That's Phyrexian eye goo.
That is definitely Phyrexian eye goo. And, as you can see, she doesn't look incredibly horrific. So, she has a very special story. So, to explain, on the plane of Wrath...
She doesn't. She looks very pretty, actually.
Yes! And she has a... Okay. We're going to stop saying she has a cool story. I'm just going to tell you the cool story. How about that? Sound good? Let's do it. So, Belbe was originally the daughter of Eladamri.
Ricky, what kind of story does she have?
A cool one. Now, Eladamri was a Sky Shroud elf. Sky Shroud basically being a forest area on the artificial plane of Wrath.
Eladamri is that guy with the call.
Yes, he actually is. Now, the thing is, Wrath is an artificial plane that had been designed by the Phyrexians specifically for the Wrathy overlay, which was going to be their invasion plan. The idea is, Phyrexians can't go to Dominaria, right?
Right.
Because they were locked out. But they could go to other planes. So, build a plane, then put Phyrexians on it, and then graft the plane onto Dominaria. And then you'd have an entire...
You told me the planar portal didn't destroy things as heavily back in the day, right?
Pretty much.
Planeswalking didn't... You could bring more things on planeswalking back in the day.
Planeswalking was a lot easier. Their planar portals were a lot easier to move around and stuff. And the Phyrexians could invade whatever they want. And they did. There were planes all over the place that got invaded by Phyrexians. But Yawgmoth was so intently focused specifically on taking Dominaria. And any other plane he went to was basically just for resources. That wasn't his goal. His goal was to take Dominaria. In a similar way to the way he tried to take Rebek. He wanted to take Dominaria because he believed it belonged to him. He was supposed to be the god of it. Anyways, Eladamri was an elf. He was the leader of the Sky Shroud elves, and he was a major person that was a thorn in Wrath's side. Wrath was ruled by a guy named Volrath. Fantastic story behind him too. Just know he bad guy. Very, very bad guy. So what he does is Volrath sends an assassin to kill Belbe. She wasn't Belbe at the time. To kill Eladamri's daughter and take her corpse. The corpse is taken. Yawgmoth takes it specifically as a personal project, and she's not heard from for a while. Eventually, a whole bunch of stuff happens. Volrath disguises himself. He goes on an adventure, and a whole bunch of stuff happens there. Eladamri goes into Wrath for other reasons, and he's trying to invade for the actual the rebellion. Basically, there's a guy named Ertai. Now, Ertai, Joe, if you remember, was pompous, arrogant, a know-it-all.
Your arrogance.
Bluest blue that ever blued. Joe, have you ever played against the Ertai commander deck?
I have. It was full of counterspells and didn't do anything.
That was Ertai. It was about as Ertai as it gets. Now, here's the thing. Ertai was originally just a wizard of the Tolarian Academy and all that other stuff. And he was a prodigy. So he went on the Weatherlight with the crew and everything, and he was like, yeah, I'm a cool wizard man. I'm going to do all it takes. They leave him. They completely abandon him on the plane of Wrath, and he's really upset about it. And around this time, Yawgmoth sends her to Wrath, to the Stronghold, because they need a new Evan card, because Volrath is gone. Where did Volrath go? Oh yeah, that boat that just left without Ertai happened to have Volrath on it. Ertai gets taken by the Phyrexians, and now there's this power vacuum, because it wasn't just Ertai that got left behind. There was also the recently cursed Crovax, who's this just this bulky Dwayne The Rock Johnson looking guy who is a vampire and very, very violent.
Oh, he's ascended to Vinkar, right?
Yes.
We've
not
been over
yet.
that story.
He's not yet the Evankar, but yes, he eventually will be.
He ascends
Now-
to the Vinkar.
Yes. Now, so you got Krovax, you got Volrath's old guy, Greven, who's this giant, hulking bastion of a man. He's basically Adam Driver. And then you got Ertai, who... and then you got Ertai, who's Steve Buscemi. So you have these three guys, and they're all happen to be on Wrath. And Belbe sees Ertai and is like, hey. And he's like, hi. And she's like, you want to be stronger? And he's like, I guess. And then she's like, I'm going to make you stronger. And he goes, okay. And so she Phyrexianizes him. He gains white and black somehow. The black makes sense. The white, not so much. But he basically becomes an Esper Phyrexian. He, by becoming more Phyrexian, actually makes her less Phyrexian, because she begins to have memories of who she was before she was turned into a Phyrexian. And she begins to have feelings for Ertai, who has feelings for her. And you can look at her card. You see that little emblem on her chest?
Yes.
That's not an emblem. That's the Eye of Yawgmoth. It's basically a camera that was implanted into her chest so Yawgmoth could see everything she did. And she was able to explain away the reason Ertai was getting all these special treatments is because he was smart and could control the Flowstone better than anyone else. You may remember I mentioned this was an artificial plane. The entire ground is made of Flowstone, which is a material that you can then manipulate to become whatever you want. That's why the whole Flowstone mechanic was like +1, -1 kind of deal, because it was like, I'm going to like take this and push it somewhere else, just like Bikini Bottom. So you got Belbe tampering with the Eye of Yawgmoth and breaking it so that Yawgmoth can't spy on her anymore, so she can be with Ertai as much as she wants.
Sad video when Ricky took my next opening.
She makes Ertai into a Phyrexian powerhouse. The downside is that when she does this, Krovax just has brute force. And Greven is controlled by Krovax now, because Krovax is able to control his spine, which is like Flowstone inside of it, and can cause excruciating pain. It comes down to a fight with Volrath, who returns, and Krovax and Ertai, and the three of them having to be the ones that actually fight each other.
You said
Volrath-
Kovacs is like super strong, whereas Ertai's a powerhouse. I just imagine it being like when you're playing a game, a really high attack guy goes for squishy mage,
Pretty much.
and just like, wow, that guy was really strong, but he also got his head taken off because he wasn't like punch you in the face and kill you strong.
Yeah, he was the kind of like, I'll stay away as long as I can, and as long as you don't hit me, I'm good.
He's like a powerful player. I've been watching Dragon's Race to the Edge because I'm out of stuff to watch, and also it's How to Train Your Dragon.
Okay, that makes sense now. I wasn't sure what you were talking about before.
It's a How to Train Your Dragon series that Netflix picked up.
Cool.
The main dragon hunter isn't actually that strong a dude. He's like Hiccup. He's really resourceful, really crafty. It's basically like having an evil Hiccup. It's amazing.
That is interesting. But back to Belbe. If you look at her ability, at the beginning of each player's upkeep, post-combat main phase, that player adds colorless for each opponent, for each of your opponents who lost life this turn. So she encourages everyone to fight each other. So her actual ability reflects the battle that took place between these guys. And in the end, Ertai bowed out and helped Krovax win by manipulating the Flowstone for him. Basically, Ertai played Kingmaker, which is kind of what my Ertai deck used to do, was it would just make sure that one person didn't win.
I think you
And-
explained that to me when I asked why the Ertai deck doesn't do anything.
Yeah, that's kind of like, because Ertai's just like, "Nyeh." So that's what he does. So he helped Krovax win. That all happened, and it was all because of Belbe. She's super important to the story and to the fate of the Phyrexians. Because if Ertai had been in control, he would have been a much more dangerous adversary, I believe, than Krovax. Krovax was just brutal, and he impaled a ton of people like he thought he was Vlad. So basically, what happens is that
That's
there's-
racist.
Squeeze shows up, Squeak gets taken and turned immortal, and Ertai gets to continuously kill him and all this other stuff. And Belbe meets Eladamri. Eladamri is enraged at the sight of his daughter as a Phyrexian and tries to kill her. And she basically, what winds up happening, several like events take place. I'd like to go more into it once we actually get to the Phyrexian storyline. And she's dead. Poisoned by the same poison that killed her originally, by Eladamri. And if you see that hole in the back of her picture,
Yes.
that's her own personal planar portal. And Linsavi and Eladamri get through that portal to Dominaria into Keld.
So there was just enough stuff for people to have their own personal planar portals.
Yeah.
So basically, Bolas took too long to start his thing. Just like, here's this planar portal, this legendary thing, and just like, somebody's been around her. Bro, I've seen like a billion of those, like one for each Phyrexian. Where have you been?
The main problem with that is, one, she was a high-ranking individual, so she had those special privileges. No one else had one on Wrath. And secondly, Bolas didn't need to do a ridiculous soul siphoning spell because he was an actual god during these times. So he didn't need to deal with it.
So basically, the storyline we got for Bolas in current times was him getting back to his original power.
Yes, he wanted to become a god again.
After being killed by Ugin, taken down a peg, and just like, man, I'm dragon now.
I'm a druid. So yeah, that's the story of Belbe, the corrupted observer. I really liked her character because
he's so cool.
Yeah, and like I want to put her in my Phyrexian deck, but I also just want to start working on a Jund Phyrexian that has more of the like Xancha and Greven characters that aren't like controlled, I guess, as much as or like more classic Phyrexians, as opposed to the more structured,
more corrupted than controlled.
Yes, exactly.
It's like, oh, a little poison got in me. Well, I guess I'm gonna kill that guy. You don't have to. Yeah, but I want to now.
But yeah, that's why she looks the way she does. That's why she and Ertai kind of had a thing going, and she did what because of her, she was the reason that Eladamri got into the Dominaria and was able to basically save a whole ton of elves and work with the Keldans. And I mean, she did a ton to help everyone to save everything that was happening. And
planar portal thing's still a little mind-blowing though. Like, they were that well constructed back in the day where you can just travel through. Now Bolas needs to coat them in blue stuff to where they don't deconstruct on the way through.
And that's because of the mending, because the mending changed the nature of the spark and the way that the way things can move through the blind eternities. Because planeswalkers used to be able to just summon stuff and pull them through. Now it's more they're like phantasms kind of deal. So like I mentioned
that with the
Senger.
Dooley Snoodle. Yeah, him.
Senger, yeah. So that's the story of Belbe. If I missed anything, please tell me in the comments. I do intend to go more in depth on that whole Phyrexian storyline if these episodes take off. You guys seem to like them. We get a pretty reasonable amount of views off of these. So we'll see how it goes. Take us away.
Hopefully we get a story that lets us talk about the mending too. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. We're going to go ahead and see you guys next time with some more League of Legends or whatever we're calling this.
You still don't know.
Legends of
the Hidden Temple.
Bye, guys. Ark of the Covenant, that's what we call it.
I knew it.